It was supposed to be a wholesome, uplifting celebration of young talent and achievement at the prestigious Junior Awards ceremony. Held annually at London's Royal Albert Hall, the long-running event honored Britain's brightest students across academics, athletics, arts and community service. For the better part of a century, the Junior Awards had managed to remain one of the few televised occasions embraced across all sectors of British society, a rare unifying celebration of the nation's youth untainted by bitter partisan politics or scandal. Royal patronage and participation helped ensure the event maintained its respected stature. At least, that had been the tradition up until the evening of October 12, 2024, when Meghan Markle's mere presence as an intended presenter threw the entirety of the Junior Awards into protesters' chaos. Though the Duchess of Sussex had been unceremoniously excised from the official royal family following the disastrous events surrounding Queen Elizabeth II's 2022 funeral, she somehow still clung to delusions of maintaining redeeming ties to the United Kingdom. Her anemic public rehabilitation efforts stateside had regressed from woke media fawning to widespread social pariah status amidst an avalanche of self-immolating scandals and grossly overplayed victim narratives. Even her stalwart, Sussex squad of online superfans had largely abandoned their fierce protectiveness, unwilling to make any further excuses for Meghan's worsening trail of outrageously unbecoming conduct that culminated in the slapping of an innocent child royal on international television. Still, the twice-divorced American actress had seemingly found one last toehold into British society through pre-existing arrangements to present at the Junior Awards, likely pushed through during her brief rehabilitation galantine phase before the Princess Charlotte debacle. She undoubtedly envisioned the gig as a primetime stepping stone to amplify her hoped-for reinvented brand as a children's rights and education advocate on the global stage. Instead, from the moment Meghan's name and intentions were publicly announced, it set off a firestorm of condemnation across British media. How dare this disgraced opportunist arrogate any presence at such a hallowed institution after the shameful spectacles she'd perpetrated on the monarchy? What motivation beyond naked self-interest could possibly inspire her? For this insufferable, perpetual publicity menace to even consider re-injecting herself into one of the UK's few remaining bastions of pure, innocent, non-politicized honor is just the absolute height of arrogance and delusion, roared Penny Junor on Good Morning Britain. The renowned royal correspondent was in rare form eviscerating the self-exiled Duchess. She should be utterly embarrassed to show her face in public after the disgusting slap heard round the world, yet alone foist her polarizing presence upon Britain's youth in hopes of cravenly regaining credibility. Well, this former bathroom actress turned royal family stain is in for a rude awakening if she thinks she'll be welcomed with open arms at an event solely meant to uplift, not debase, our young people. It was a harsh preview of the furious backlash awaiting Meghan upon her miscalculated arrival at the iconic domed venue on award night. But if the increasingly alienated Duchess had developed any sense of self-awareness, she clearly discarded it in hopes that goodwill might still exist for her laudable charitable motives. As the black Range Rovers carrying her entourage swept through the front gates hours before the nationally televised ceremony, the first boos began raining in from the assembled crowds outside. Many Londoners had been queuing for days to secure their cherished £45 tickets, undeterred even by the heated controversy over Meghan's participation. Only to discover a stark protocol shift had been instituted to segregate her arrival from the rest of the night's less polarizing presenters and honorees. Instead of pulling up to the traditional red-carpeted front entrance as a welcomed guest, Meghan's driver veered to the tradesman's loading dock around back, beyond the view of the thronged well-wishers, but exposed to the gathering gauntlet of protesters rapidly inflating with outrage. No sooner had the tinted rear window lowered to allow her first wave to the crowd when a deafening torrent of boos and heckles began pelting the vehicle. "Go back to America, you slap-happy skank. Have you no shame showing your face after assaulting a child? This is a night for celebrating honorable Brits, not Judas concubines who've betrayed US." If the affronted Duchess harbored any illusions about still being greeted as a beloved UK darling, they were savagely disabused by the vulgar display. For several moments, Meghan sat frozen with her wrists still aloft in an aborted attempt at a royal wave as the automotive refuge absorbed a steady pelting of jeers and even some hurled debris from the increasingly hostile crowd. The public reaction to Meghan Markle's attempt to present at the prestigious 2024 Junior Awards was overwhelmingly negative and hostile, reflecting her fall from grace in British society. Here are some of the key details from the intense backlash. Protests and jeering mobs. Even before Meghan arrived at London's Royal Albert Hall, large crowds of protesters had gathered outside condemning her inclusion at the apolitical ceremony honoring accomplished youth. Chants of "Go home, shameful Duchess," and "No awards for child abusers," rang out as her vehicle attempted to navigate the angry mobs. When Meghan emerged from her Range Rover at the rear loading dock entrance, she was immediately besieged by deafening boos and vulgar jeers from the assembled protesters. Obscenities like "slap happy skank" were hurled her way, along with projectiles narrowly avoiding striking her. Her feeble attempted wave at the hostile throngs was met with even more thunderous condemnation. Media outcry. In the days and weeks leading up to the event, the British media had turned a harsh spotlight on Meghan's controversial participation, with pundits and royal experts questioning how the disgraced former royal had managed to wrangle a role presenting awards to accomplished young people. This is a ceremony meant to uplift the next generation of Great Britons, not provide a reparations soapbox for a celebrity pariah who violently accosted a child, raged one commentator on Good Morning Britain. If she so much as attempts to hijack this wonderful night with any diatribe about her imagined hardships, the boos will be entirely justified. By allowing Meghan a presence, critics argued the Junior Awards had breached public trust and irreparably politicized what had historically been a unifying, nonpartisan tradition celebrating exceptional British youth across multiple fields. Calls for her removal. Even before her vehicle had pulled onto the grounds, a rapidly growing parliamentary petition demanding Meghan be stripped of any role at the ceremony had garnered over 800,000 signatures from outraged Britons. The language pulled no punches in condemning her appearance. The Duchess of Sussex has already represented a disgraceful slap in the face to the British people with her endless smears against our royal family following her self-removal from its ranks. To now grant this disgraced defamer the privilege of presenting any honors at the hallowed Junior Awards would be an appalling embarrassment, for her entitled presence would rob these praiseworthy young achievers of their deserved spotlight while relegating the entire institution to a politicking zone. Similar statements from prominent charities, corporations and advocacy groups piled on, all arguing Meghan's polarizing presence would only foster division and distraction from the evening's core purpose. Several pulled their sponsorships and participation when leaks arose that she had been given a prime presenting role intended to help rehabilitate her image. Social media furor. Online was an outright firestorm of #BootTheDuchess and #PreservingOurPride hashtags and memes demanding Meghan be excluded. Videos of her controversial past statements and behavior went viral, contrasted with images of the young honorees whose big night she threatened to overshadow. Even her hardcore base of Sussex Squad fans conceded this was a bridge too far, with some breaking ranks to call her inclusion at the Junior Awards a miscalculation of staggering arrogance. By the time Meghan finally made her premature exit from the venue under heightened security before the show had even begun, the flames of public rage showed no signs of being extinguished anytime soon. The protracted controversy had already overshadowed the onstage ceremony itself, representing perhaps her most self-inflicted repudiation yet from her former home country. In the aftermath, the Junior Awards organizers were left to patch together the evening and weather intense criticism themselves for allowing Meghan Markle on the presenters' roster in the first place. While her physical appearance had been unwelcome to put it mildly, her polarizing shadow still managed to linger over an event meant to celebrate British youth in a unifying manner, not provide a culture war's lightning rod.